Let's explore how to make unit primitives. Unit primitives are objects that are the exact same size along the x, y, and z axis. To make unit primitives, it's pretty easy. We're in the basic category of our tools, and when I notice what happens when I hold down the control key. When I hold down the control key, the cube, sphere, cylinder, cone, and torus commands all get these new little icons, little green tick marks, these little graphs. Now, what that means is when I click on the cube, like so, look what happens. It makes a cube that is the exact same size along the y, along the x, and along the z axes, okay? So basically, it's creating a 1 unit primitive. So each one of these squares is 1 unit tall along the y, along the x, and along the z. Is uniform size along the entire object, a 1 unit primitive. This is a primitive cube, okay? Let me get rid of this guy real fast, just delete him. Let's do the exact same thing with the sphere. Again, I'm holding down the control key and just clicking. Boom, there it is. So now we've created a sphere that is perfectly spherical. So it is a beach ball. It is a soccer ball, perfectly round along every axis. So that's what a unit primitive is all about, okay? Let's delete this one more time because there's an option that I want to show you, okay? Up until now, we've been holding down the control key. We get these little green tick marks next to the cube icon. Now what that does is that adds a unit primitive to the current mesh item, okay? Let me do that again. Draw your attention over here to the item list. Notice that we have an item called mesh. Let's just rename it real fast. Let's call this Pat's Cube. There we go. So Pat's Cube, it's currently empty because the text is kind of grayed out. But when I hold down the control key and click on the cube, notice that we add a unit primitive to the current mesh item. Okay? Now, there's another option that we have here. I'm going to move this guy real fast. Just move him along the x-axis out of the way. If we hold down the shift key, look what happens. We get a little orange plus mark, okay? Now this is going to add a unit primitive to a new mesh item. Notice what happens. Pat's Cube has remained the same, and we've added a new mesh item called sphere. Again, it's still a 1 unit primitive. It's a perfectly spherical object along the x, y, and z axis, okay? So as a recap, holding down the control key adds a unit primitive to the current or the selected mesh item. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to move my sphere out of the way, go back to Pat's Cube, and I'm going to add a 1 unit primitive cylinder, boom, to the current selected mesh item, Pat's Cube, that now has the cube and the cylinder. If we were to hold down the shift key, let's do that again. I'm going to move my cylinder out of the way just so we can see what's going on. If we hold down the shift key, it's going to add a unit primitive to a new mesh item. So this is the donut or the torus. There it is. Notice that it added a new mesh item and added that unit primitive to that mesh item. So that's how you create unit primitives right here in Modo.